everyone, it's Kerry back with you today. Last year I created some of these sort of like diorama type scenes inside half of a fillable bauble for Christmas decorations. So today I thought I'd show you how I've created them. Now those ones are a little bit hard to see with the glare, so these ones I just haven't popped their cover on yet. I've just used some fake moss, a couple of dried flowers, some sticks from my garden, and these are all just fussy cuts from digital printables, and the backing I've just cut from chipboard on the laser. I will list the digital kits that I've used in the description box below, but I know some people are going to ask for a kit because they don't have access to print them themselves. So I have made up a couple of little kits. The kit will include a sheet of fussy cut elements that you can just cut out and use to create your own bauble. There is a small package of the fake moss, and then there's 2 complete fillable baubles, so this will give you 4 decorations if you're only using half on each one, and then of course the backing plates to adhere the bauble onto. I'm pretty sure these fillable baubles are quite easy to find at this time of the year. I know that in Australia they're available in Spotlight, so you can just Google fillable bauble in your area and it should come up with some places for you to get them from. So what I have here is just some fussy cut elements, some birds, mushrooms, butterflies, and a couple of little labels that I might want to use. I've also popped out to the garden and just grabbed a couple of dry twigs from the ground. I've got my bauble back here, and then I've got the half of the fillable acrylic bauble that fits over the top. So to begin with, I want to add some colour onto my background, and I've picked some oxide colours. I've got forest moss, walnut stain and speckled egg. Now this walnut stain is very, very dry. I don't have much ink left in this one at all. I'm just going to pop a piece of paper under here so I don't get ink all over my table. So I'm just applying this ink with a stencil brush. It just gives me a more blended appearance. I'm going to go in with some forest moss now. This ink pad is very juicy, so I'm just going to sort of brush some of that off to begin with, and then just slowly coming in so I don't get too much ink down in one spot. And then I might just add a little bit of speckled egg as well. This ink pad is also very juicy. So now I've just got some colour on my background there, and I'm going to spritz it quite heavily with water. On this white chipboard it gets lovely watermarks when you let the water sit for a couple of minutes. And then I'm just going to give that a quick dry off with my heat gun. So now I've got those lovely marks on there from the water drops. And I want to add just a little bit of stamping in the background. So I'm going to take archival ink. I've got black soot here, and then I've just picked a script stamp that's got a postmark on it. I've just got a little bit of scrap paper here that I can stamp off on as well, because I don't want my image to be too crisp. I sort of want it to be in the background. So I'm going to stamp off first, and then just going to add a couple of impressions there, just so I get a bit of texture going on in the background. So now it's time to start building my little scene, and I start by picking my focal point. So I want to have this bird in this one, and then I'll have a couple of mushrooms. So this mushroom's quite big, but it might work in the background. No, No, I don't like it, so I'll swap it for a different one. Maybe this one. Okay, I don't mind that. So I'm going to glue this mushroom down in the background. And I'm just going to use art glitter glue because I'm sticking it onto the chipboard backing plate. Can just double checking where I want to pop it. Yep, about there. Stick that down. Then I'm going to come in with my sticks that I've got from the garden, and I quite like this thicker stick to pop the bird on. Now he's also got a stick as part of his digi, so I'll cut that off so it looks like he's standing on this stick. And my stick is a little bit long for my backing. I need to make sure everything sits within the backing plate, otherwise when I go to put the bauble over the top it won't fit. So I'm just going to use some pliers to cut this off. Alright, so I've chopped my stick down now and I know that's going to fit inside my bauble. I might put it around this way so that I've got a little bit of interest at this end of the stick as well as the mushrooms at that end of the stick. And then I'm just going to use hot glue to attach this stick. Now I want to add some moss down the bottom here, and I've got this fake moss. Now I use it on this tray because it gets a little bit messy. And I'm just going to add a bunch of hot glue down the bottom here and a little bit along the edge of this twig as well. Then I'm just going to pull off some of my moss and I'm just pressing it into the hot glue. Doesn't matter if it hangs over for the moment. Then I'll just give that a tap to get any extra off. And then I go around with my scissors and trim off any bits that are overhanging. So I'm happy with that for the moment. I might come in and add a bit more afterwards. So now I'm going to take my little bird and pop him onto my little twig here. I'm just going to again use a little bit of hot glue, but I want to trim that bit of the extra stick off. And then I can sort of tuck his feet in under the moss there. So I'll just put a little bit of hot glue on his feet. And make sure his tail is tucked in as well. Now if you weren't going to pop this into a bauble, if you were just going to leave it uncovered, you might want to pop something behind the bird so that if he gets pressed down, he doesn't sort of sit flat against the back. You want him to sit up and be a bit more three-dimensional. So he's sitting there quite nicely. Now I think I might want to add another little set of mushrooms in the foreground here. Maybe like that. Or do I want them in the background? Let's have a look. I think I actually like those ones in the background as well, so I'm going to add a bit more of the art glitter glue this time because I'm going to pop this in the background. I'm just going to tuck those in under the end of the stick. Make sure that's straight and where I would like it. Then maybe I think I'll add a little butterfly onto the foreground. I like that colour. Yep. Just ink the edges a little bit. Then I'm going to fold him in half so he's a bit more dimensional and curve his wings back a little bit. And I'm just going to use art glitter glue again. And I'll just nestle him into the moss a little bit. About there. And to finish off, I might add a couple of these dried flowers. Just having a look to see if I like how that looks. And again, I'm going to use hot glue to attach these. Now I feel like that's a little bit messy in there where all the glue is, so I'm just going to add the tiniest little bit of moss over the top. And if my glue has dried too much, I'll just heat it a little bit with my heat gun. I'll see if it sticks first. Nope. I'm just going to heat the glue a little bit with my heat gun. And that just remelts that glue enough for me to be able to stick this moss on. So if you wanted to, you could also add one of the little words. You could add words if you wanted to make it specifically Christmas. You could add like a Merry Christmas or something like that. So I could add just a little number like that. I think I might do that with this one. Just a bit of ink around the edges first. So when I'm ready to add my bauble, I just make sure that everything's going to fit inside first. And then some of the baubles will have like a little hook here to hang. So I make sure that's at the top. Some of them won't have this hook. If they don't, these are very lightweight and you can just attach a little piece of string onto the back there in a loop to use as the hanger. So I'm just going to add 3 very small bits of hot glue around the edge of my bauble just to help me secure the acrylic cover to begin with. And I'm just sort of tucking in and making sure my moss is tucked in as much as possible from the bottom. And then I'll hold that down just till the glue catches. If you do get a little bit of moss or some extra glue, you can always trim that off afterwards. And once that's grabbed, I can go in and add a couple of more little bits of glue. But you only need a very small amount because they don't weigh anything and it's not, you know, having to secure something heavy. And that's it. And our little 3-dimensional scene is trapped inside our little bauble there. You can go round afterwards and just give it a wipe off if you've got any glue strings or little fingerprints or whatever. If you wanted to finish the edge a little bit more, you could add some lace or trim around the edge. And you could also cover the back with coffee dyed paper if you wanted to finish off the back as well. So there we go, that's our little three-dimensional scene trapped inside our bauble now. And of course you don't need to use these just for Christmas. You could just have them as decoration in your craft room or send them as a gift to a friend. And you could make them any theme you like as well. You don't have to just use mushrooms or botanical type things. You could put fairies or steampunk, anything you like in there. Anyway, I will leave links in the description box below to the digital kits that I have used in today's video. I'll also leave a link to the kit if anybody would like one of those. There will be a limited number of them available. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'll see you again next time. Bye.